Here we go. If you're on the replay, we want to thank you for hanging out with us. Crazy stuff happening, like facts, reality.
Well, it's not going to feel like reality.
No, it's not.
When I describe some of the shenanigans, notice I use the word shenanigans because I'm wearing an Irish hat.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about some of the SBA stuff. You know, SBA has been for a solid 12 years.
12 months.
12 months, sorry. They've been asking for us to have patience. Well, what I say is if you want us to have some patience, we need to see some progress. You're going to talk about some of the nuances and some of the things that you're seeing.
There's no nuance.
Okay.
It's brute force and ignorance. You notice I'm contradicting a lot of what you're saying. Does that annoy you?
Oh, it's so annoying.
Welcome to the SBA process.
Yeah.
1 year in on COVID.
So do you want to start with
everything?
Okay, but maybe just like, let's chunk it down. Open
First
it
of all,
up.
I want to say hi to our new friend, Kathleen.
Hey, Nairobi.
The inspiration for tonight's show is not only because we realized late last night that we had no video in the can for this week's video production, but also some of the frustrations that we are experiencing with the SBA process. To kind of introduce it, I want to share 2 comments that I saw this morning on Facebook. I'm on a couple of different chat groups on Facebook. I'm trying to help people give free advice and answer their questions and kind of sort out the anecdotal morass of maniacal misery that's going on as people struggle with the COVID-19 pandemic and try to keep their businesses alive. One gal commented about the PPP process. What she posted was something like this. So I didn't get first round last year. I just got my first round recently. And I understand that I can apply for second round once I've spent the money. So I'm a sole proprietor, she said. So I paid myself. I've spent the money. But now I put in my second round application and the lender is telling me that the SBA website does not indicate yet that my first round loan has been funded. And until the SBA website shows that, my lender said they cannot move forward on my second round application. That's disturbing enough, you would think.
Mm-hmm.
No, here's the part where I want to start crying, because here's what the woman said. I don't know what to do. I really need the money. And the lender said I should not file another application with them or with another lender. And I don't want to be accused of committing fraud. How terrible is that?
Well,
that an honest small business owner who is trying to just get a few shekels to pay her bills and put food on the table and keep her business alive, her overriding concern is not getting the money. Her overriding concern is being pinged as committing fraud by the federal government. This is a terrible message that SBA, yes, hello SBA, I'm talking to you. This is a terrible message that you are sending to people. You're sending the kind of message like, oh my God, did you hear about the plane crash? I'll never get on a plane ever again. Scaring the living out of people who will never get on a plane again because of one plane crash. What? It's actually worse than that, because we hear it from people all the time.
All day, every day.
We have a client in Texas. Hey, so I got $53,000 EIDL last year, and I need to use it this way, but I'm afraid to use it because I'm afraid of what it said in the loan agreement about fraud and this. I don't want to go to jail, Trevor. What? Like, I loaned money to people for 30 years to buy houses. I never had anybody ever tell me the words, hey, I want to buy a house. I'm afraid to apply for the loan because I'm afraid I might go to jail. What?
All these reports about fraud are becoming super rampant. So
we're not taking away from the fact there's a lot of fraud. There is a lot of fraud.
But I guess what I don't understand is, so there's always some fraud everywhere that happens. It's so bad that the SBA now has these protocols that are making the honest people suffer and wait and delay the money getting to them because they need a wet signature. No, they don't.
Which
they need
leads
a digital
to the
signature.
second comment.
No, they don't. They need this 6 times.
The second comment.
I've sent this form
in today's Facebook group from a young man who got his invitation for the targeted EIDL advance.
Yeah, that's another conundrum.
Which was included in the second stimulus and allegedly was supposed to roll out by the middle of January, and you were supposed to get the money within 21 days. That's what it says in the legislation. So this fellow, he posted the whole timeline. He said, I got the invitation on February 12th and did this date, February 26th, IRS 4506. And submitted the paperwork again, did this, did that. And he says, 50 days since I got the invitation. In the COVID pandemic, 50 days is a lifetime.
Yeah.
He's finishing it by saying, am I going to be 100 years old? 1 year in.
And there's no progress at all.
Well, there is some, but not enough. Taylor writes here, there's a huge difference between being patient and being just ignored. It's so hard to keep being given the runaround. I have to call a person at the SBA to respond to a voicemail I received on Saturday. One of our clients got an EIDL last year and is required under the terms of the loan agreement to submit a board resolution and also the hazard insurance. Now, this particular person for the SBA is an attorney. I know this because I had an email exchange with this person last year when we submitted the board resolution. And at that time, I said to him, we will review the insurance on behalf of our client to determine if it's in compliance with the loan agreement. By the way, I said to him, can you give us a little more guidance? Because the type of business the client has, I'm not an insurance person. Linda is, and she's going to talk more about this insurance nonsense in a moment. He was very good. And I said to him, you must be a really good attorney. So I have to call him in a few minutes because I know he's following up saying, where's the insurance? And we had an exchange last week with an SBA representative on another client file about the insurance.
This is not a good situation.
Here's the thing, SBA.
Are they really listening?
Instead of putting these folks to work to check off boxes, to collect documents on loans, how about allocating those human resources over to the other side so that folks can get the money they need? You see, so we got two things going on. We have the SBA making everybody terrified that they're going to be lumped in with the criminals.
Or they're not even getting any money.
They're not getting money because they're putting protocols in place that make you jump through. Jump through hoops is too nice. That's a circus expression.
Too nice.
I'm like climb Mount Everest backwards while singing the Star Spangled Banner in Latin while you're upside down on your head. That's how you have to go because of these protocols that are in place to prevent fraud. But also, you're allocating resources to people who are collecting documents on loans that are closed already. SBA cannot say to me, we don't have enough people.
Well, and this is the other thing too on the insurance. They're collecting insurance because that's the way it's been written in the agreement since
for the natural
disaster loans, which when there's a tornado, a fire, a hurricane, or a flood, and there's physical damage to a piece of property and you file an EIDL application, some can be allocated for physical property damage and some can be allocated towards if you close your business because of this natural disaster. With COVID, it's a different type of disaster that isn't predicated on property damage that has to be physically repaired, thus the loan being a certain amount that can be justified, which is how the insurance then can cover the piece of property.
So it's
round and round.
We have two clients actually, or Amazon reseller. We have another client does software development. How do they get hazard insurance? It doesn't exist. Do you know why we know it doesn't exist? Because she's an insurance broker.
Because I called.
And she called the Hartford.
I called
one of the biggest insurance carriers in the nation.
I called some of the national insurance organizations that represent insurance agencies. And I did a deep dive. I have an opinion letter ready to go to someone who will listen to me at the SBA. And I have everything outlined of any particular consideration of this insurance conundrum. I can go on and on talking about this insurance. We have been incredibly gracious to the SBA, begging some of our viewers to be patient, and they have millions of applications. And we go on and on about giving the SBA the benefit of the doubt. But that was also when it was only 2 months or 3 months or whatever. And
why am I wearing the hat?
But now it's a year later.
Because what happened on St. Patrick's Day last year?
We were shut down. And
our financing business evaporated. And on March 18th and then March 23rd, our first EIDL client. So we've been doing this for a year. And 1 year in, and I guess the reason I wanted to do this tonight is because in just a few days in office.
Wait a minute.
Isabel
You didn't want to do this tonight. I told him we had no videos for our Monday Advancing with Financing. He was like, what? We have videos, blah, 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 blah. I said, we have no videos.
All right, don't throw me under the bus.
I'm throwing you under the bus. Dude.
Isabel Guzman, in just a few days in office, has already demonstrated she is the rock star that I predicted she was going to be. Last week, she made the announcement they extended the deferment period on the EIDL loan to 2022, and they've increased the loan limit to $500,000, and now it's going to be 24 months working capital.
Yes.
So we need Isabel and the other folks at SBA to hear us, please.
On the process.
You're in this 1 year. Business owners cannot be patient anymore. We have reconsiderations we're working on. We see people on the internet talking about it weeks and months, submitting the same document 6 times. Nobody at the SBA giving them guidance or clarity, not answering questions. Enough is enough. Folks are desperate.
Here, Kathy Lee and Alejandro are saying how they are submitting things that they need to, that they're required to. The thing is, a lot of people are doing exactly what the SBA is telling them to do, and then they don't receive them, or they have to do it again. Or the best is how you showed me in the portal where SBA says that a document is incorrect. And it's like, well, why?
I uploaded the document last night, and it's the same document. I submitted the client's reconsideration file on St. Patrick's Day on March 17th. It's a new client, signed up with us. He's up in Portland, Oregon, and he just signed up with us, and he had all his documents in place. This guy's like the perfect client. You say, we need all of this, and everything shows up the next day. It was amazing. And it was clean. We're going to talk about documents in a minute. I put his file in that night. Yesterday, we got an email from SBA asking for 4 items that I had already submitted. So I submitted them again. And then we got another email today from SBA, and I go onto the website, and it's asking for 5 of the items I've already resubmitted last night and submitted originally on March 17th.
Okay, are you done?
This is how you know things are broken at the SBA. Going back to the hazard insurance real quick. We constantly get SBA representatives when we push back and we say, how can we give you insurance for a business that you literally cannot buy insurance? Or like we have our client in Philadelphia is a software developer. He got a $150,000 EIDL loan. And if he were, I said to Linda, what kind of insurance could he get that might possibly meet this? She said, well, maybe he get a cyber insurance policy. I go, what's the premium on that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. There's so many variables
and what kind of
that go into
it's not going to take him to 80% of 150, which is required under the loan agreement. But we get SBA agents all the time making statements on the phone and an email saying, no, that's okay. Just send what you've got. We just want to have something in the file. I'm sorry, but you see what's wrong with that? That's some bureaucratic stuff right there. That's just, I got to get this job done. And I don't care what the client puts in the file, except what you're doing is you're putting the borrower in legal jeopardy. Because on the loan agreement, it says very clearly, well before the whole civil and criminal penalties part, which scares the bejesus out of everybody, it says for hazard insurance up to 80% of the value of your loan to cover fire, lightning, water, etc. It doesn't say, oh, just send us what you've got. Because a verbal representation by an SBA agent does not supersede a legal agreement. So there's that.
Alejandro, they called and said, get your transcript. Makes no sense, but I need the money.
I saw a moment ago, Alejandro, you mentioned that you got your own transcript online. So this is one of the, what we call the workaround. What is an IRS 4506T? You know what it is? These things started making an appearance around 1996 in the mortgage business, where if you had a loan application, in the beginning it was only FHA government loans, and then it became everybody. If the client's application had tax returns in the file, for whatever reason, they own rental property, they get capital gains income they're using to qualify, they have Schedule C income. If their tax return appears in the file, then you had to fill out a 4506T in the bank, that was us, had to send that transcript request to the IRS, get a transcript to verify that the return that you have in the file is the actual return that was filed with the IRS, because believe it or not, people filed in their loan applications fraudulent fake tax returns. So this was a quality control measure to prevent fraud. Eventually, it became the norm on all mortgage applications everywhere, regardless of whether there's a tax return or not. So it's a fraud prevention technique to make sure the document given by the borrower is what was filed. Alejandro points out that he went online and got his own transcript from IRS.gov, which you can do, and he gave that to the SBA. Do you know why Alejandro did that? Because the SBA agents have said to people, we couldn't get the transcript. So if you get it yourself, send it to us and we'll use that.
Except Erica Brown just said
it makes no sense.
It had to come directly from the IRS.
So Erica got the one agent at the SBA who actually has a brain and knows how to use it. Because I've personally spoken to SBA agents who've told me, well, you know, Trevor, if they get that, and that's why Alejandro did it, because somebody at SBA probably told him that. This is like the SBA agent I spoke to 2 weeks ago. She was a really good agent too. This was a situation about a driver's license. Reconsideration file in process. Listen, when my documents go in, I'm Mr. OCD.
His files are clean.
And those, I mean, you know, we drive our clients a little nuts sometimes. We need this. It's got to be right. My files go in complete from the beginning. I don't want to give anybody at the SBA any excuse to either delay the file or to say no. That's my MO, my modus operandi. It's how I worked as a loan officer. Same thing here today as a Aurora Consulting. Back in December, I had a couple of files, EIDL, new applications. I put them in. Loan officer sends emails, 2 different loan officers, 2 different files. A couple of other items. Also, I want the borrower, the applicant, to take a photo with their smartphone of their driver's license and email it directly from their smartphone. Linda, you're kind of tech savvy. If I take a picture with this, what's the file type?
It's a JPEG.
JPEG. Is it a PDF?
No.
Oh, because I would have to convert it to a PDF. Yes. Okay. I called one of the loan officers. Actually, I called one. I emailed the other one. We're the authorized representative. You've got our letter in the file. We filed the application. Our name is on the application as the authorized representative. I have the driver's licenses. I have clear color PDF. Can I just those to you? They both said, no, I want the borrower to send it to me directly, which in one case, the client just did it. But the other case, I said to her, this guy is working 2 jobs to pay the bills, which is why he's applying for EIDL because he needs money. And I'm not going to get him on the phone till 12:30 tonight. All right, send me what you have, Trevor. I'll see if I can accept it. I emailed it over the PDF and she said, okay, it's fine. And she approved the loan and he got his money. So 2 weeks ago, I'm on the phone with another SBA agent because we had a reconsideration and I filed the driver's license as a PDF with my original. I go on the portal and it's asking for driver's license again. So I try uploading it. In this case, the client had an identity theft lock on her credit report. Okay. And because of that, the portal says, due to credit bureau lock, additional form of identification. Well, what other form? I mean, driver's license. So I had the client send me a JPEG and it wouldn't accept it. So I called, got this nice agent on the phone. And this is what she told me. Trevor, we don't accept JPEGs. I don't know who told you that.
Insert sound.
I don't know who told you that, but we don't accept JPEGs.
Listen,
PDFs only. Except, you know who told me they wanted those JPEGs? 2 loan officers. Their signatures in the SBA emails said loan officers. Are you seeing a pattern here? No, you're not seeing a pattern. You know why? Because there is no pattern.
Listen,
because there's no standards.
Taylor said it about 20 minutes ago. Being patient, being ignored, and being given the runaround. And that's really why my
Isabel Guzman
main banner is.
We need you, please.
We can go on and on. These stories are legendary of
wildfire management crazy and sweep it up and clean it up. Business owners are running out of time. I'm talking about days and weeks before they are done, which means the whole EIDL program will have failed.
Yes.
Because those businesses that got a little bit of money who are trying to get more or didn't get any and are trying to get some
enough because they had the caps.
Their businesses are going to fail. And if the purpose of the EIDL COVID program was to help maintain continuity of small business, to maintain the continuity of the American economy, it's going to fail.
Mm-hmm. I guess what I don't understand is the Small Business Administration is everyone's relying on the SBA, except they're supposedly woefully underfunded. It's sort of a joke how much money they get.
It's not supposedly. We know for a fact it's woefully underfunded.
It's public information.
$854 million as a budget in 2019 is a joke.
It was 717, right? Million or something like that. Anyway.
2015.
How are they held with such high regard and responsibility is beyond me when this is what's happening. They're supposed to be advocates. The business.
Well, I want to blame the politicians because the politicians are famous for saying, hey, you know, small business is the backbone of the American economy. Great. Put your money where your mouth is. Get some funding into the SBA. I want to go back to Erica Brown's statement about the IRS. This is what's going on at the IRS for the last several decades. A certain party in the United States government has been consistently, year after year, pushing to defund the IRS. We've all heard the phrase defund the police. The Republican Party for decades has been defunding the IRS, taking money away. So the IRS does not have enough money to hire people to get your tax returns filed off their desk, Erica, so that a transcript comes back with a positive return that a tax return was filed, or to go after people who are cheats. If the IRS had been locking up the people who are doing tax fraud, there probably would have been a lot less fraud in the EIDL program. Or if the IRS had been able to really have a good database together, the SBA wouldn't need us to jump through hoops, showing driver's licenses and this. All the SBA would have to do is go to the IRS and say, is this a legitimate business? Instead of asking people to show a bank statement from February 2020 to show that their business was a viable entity before COVID. Like, This is your quality control process? So it's not just the SBA underfunded, it's the IRS is underfunded too. You can find us at disasterloanconsulting.com.
Stay healthy, stay strong, and we will see you again.
And whenever possible, go to White Castle, get some cheeseburgers.
Thanks everyone for joining in. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao.